Deep in the tropical jungle of Virunga National Park in Congo, a large gorilla slowly made its way through the thick greenery. Every step was difficult for her. Her body could barely hold itself up, and her breathing became increasingly labored. There was a noticeable swelling on the gorilla's stomach, which hindered her movement and caused severe pain. She leaned on tree roots several times, trying to gather her strength and continue on her way. After a while, the gorilla stopped at a tall tree and sank heavily to the ground. Deep sighs gave way to short ones. Her eyes filled with fatigue, and her body trembled with weakness. She carefully examined her body, as if realizing that the pain was getting worse and that she needed help. In the distance, several monkeys watched her anxiously, not daring to approach, but their gazes seemed to silently support her. Nearby, a call came into the rescue center. An employee took the call, recorded the coordinates, and immediately passed the information on. A team was sent to help the gorilla. Every moment was critical. The animal needed help as soon as possible. The rescue team slowly approached the gorilla, which was lying under a tall tree. It had a large yellow abscess on its stomach and was barely moving due to the pain. The team stopped a short distance away, carefully assessing the situation and discussing what to do next. Everyone understood that any sudden movement could scare the animal and complicate the rescue. Slowly and carefully, the rescuers moved closer, showing the gorilla a sign of trust. The animal watched their movements closely, but did not try to run away, allowing the team to approach. One of the rescuers began to examine the huge abscess on the gorilla's stomach, carefully assessing its size, consistency, and condition to determine how to proceed. After the initial examination, the rescuers began to take instruments out of their medical backpack, lancets, antiseptics, and other necessary supplies. They prepared to carefully treat the abscess and provide first aid to the animal, acting in a coordinated and extremely cautious manner, understanding that the gorilla's life depended on their every move. One of the rescuers carefully made an incision in the abscess with a lancet. The team watched his every move closely, trying to work without making any unnecessary noise. As soon as the skin was cut, thick pus began to ooze out, and the smell instantly filled the air. The gorilla moved only slightly, but remained motionless, as if sensing that she was being treated. The rescuers then gently pressed on the edges of the abscess to help the pus drain. Each of them worked as coordinated as possible so as not to cause the animal any pain. Their white gloves quickly became covered with traces of fluid, but the team did not get distracted. It was important to remove all the contents to avoid re-inflammation. The air was thick with tension, but no one said a word. When the pus was almost completely drained, the rescuers began to carefully clean and wipe the wound. Using antiseptic and clean napkins, they gently treated the affected area, trying not to damage the delicate tissue. One of the participants handed over a sterile bandage, preparing to cover the wound. The team's actions were precise and confident, and silence reigned around them, broken only by the gorilla's heavy breathing. Once the wound had been completely cleaned, the rescuers carefully treated it with antiseptic to prevent inflammation. Each step was performed with extreme precision. One monitored her breathing, while the other prepared the bandages. The gorilla lay calmly, her breathing even, her eyes showing fatigue, but no longer fear. The rescuers exchanged brief glances. The operation had been successful, and now all that remained was to finish the treatment. Then the team applied a clean, sterile bandage, securing it tightly around the abdomen. The white fabric absorbed a little antiseptic, but held firmly. One of the rescuers checked the animal's pulse and condition, noting its stability. The others began to gather the instruments to prepare for transport. The air was filled with a mixture of fatigue and relief. During the operation, everyone realized that the animal really had a chance to survive. After bandaging, the gorilla was carefully transferred to a stretcher, supporting her back and head. She breathed quietly and deeply, as if sensing that the danger was behind her. The team moved in sync without saying a word. The forest around them seemed to freeze. Only the rustling of leaves accompanied their steps. Upon reaching the transport helicopter, the rescuers carefully secured the stretcher inside. When the blades kicked up a cloud of dust, everyone felt that the road to recovery had begun. The gorilla was taken to the reserve's veterinary clinic, where a team of specialists was already waiting for her. The doctors quickly admitted the animal, having prepared the room and instruments in advance. The examination showed that the operation had been successful. Under the soft light of the lamps, they carefully removed the bandage, checking for inflammation, and gently applied a new layer of antiseptic. Each step was precise and measured. One specialist monitored her breathing, another recorded the readings on the monitor, and a third prepared fresh dressing materials. The rescuers, standing behind a glass partition, watched in silence, feeling the tension of the last few days gradually recede. After a few hours, the animal's condition stabilized. There, for the first time, the gorilla was able to stretch her paws freely and breathe quietly, as if realizing that the pain was behind her. The veterinarian came closer, checked her pulse, and with a slight smile confirmed that the crisis had passed. The room somehow became brighter, and even the tired faces of the rescuers lit up with warmth. They stood by the glass wall for a while longer, not taking their eyes off her. One thought echoed in their hearts. It had all been worth it. The gorilla was alive, and now she had a chance to return home to her forest. Several weeks passed. The gorilla's wound had completely healed. Her fur had begun to grow back, and she looked strong and confident again. The day came to return her to the reserve. Rescuers and veterinarians took her to the edge of the forest, where familiar trees were already visible. The door of the transport cage slowly opened, and the gorilla took her first steps toward freedom. She looked back at the people, as if realizing that they had given her a second chance. A group of other gorillas had gathered in a small clearing nearby. They watched warily, and then one of them stepped forward and made a quiet sound of greeting. The rescued gorilla approached and soon disappeared among her fellow gorillas, melting into the greenery of the jungle. The rescuer stood silently, watching her return home. The sun slowly rose above the treetops, filling everything around with a soft golden light, a symbol of new life. This story serves as a reminder that every life in nature is precious. Although the gorilla may never know the names of those who saved her, their efforts restored her freedom and gave her a second chance. Deep in the rainforest, her breathing can be heard once again, a sign that good deeds, even those done in silence, always leave a mark. Subscribe and help us give more animals a second chance. See you next time.